I've been telling my special needs nephew. His parents are coming back when I know they're not. 3 months ago, my brother dropped off his 8-year-old son Ben with a backpack and a sticky note on his forehead that said he needed time to figure things out. Ben has special needs, and his mind works like he's maybe 3 or 4, so he still needs help with everything from tying shoes to using the bathroom. The first morning, Ben stood at my window for 20 minutes watching for his dad's truck. "When are mommy and daddy coming back?" he asked me while gripping his dinosaur book. "Soon, buddy. They just have really important stuff to do," I said. "Are they mad at me?" he asked. "No, buddy, they're not mad," I said. He nodded like he understood, but then asked the same questions 10 minutes later, and again at lunch, and again at bedtime. The special education teacher called me that first week because Ben had thrown himself on the classroom floor screaming for his parents. "He has strict routines you have to follow or he falls apart," she said in this exhausted voice. "He wears red shoes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and blue shoes the other days, and you have to read the dinosaur book to him every morning or he will be in a bad mood all day." I wanted to tell her I didn't sign up for this, but instead, I wrote it all down on my hand. The first month was hell, and I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't. Ben wet the bed 4 times in 1 week, and I ran out of clean sheets. He wouldn't eat anything except chicken nuggets and the one specific brand of applesauce that cost 3 times more than the regular kind. I was constantly exhausted between work and taking care of him. He started doing this thing where he had set the table for 4 people every night. For when my parents come home, he'd tell me. Then one morning, something shifted. Ben was already dressed when I woke up, which never happens because usually I have to beg for 20 minutes just to get him out of his pajamas. He had made his bed with the corners all wrong, but tucked in tight like he'd tried so hard. "Look, uncle, I did it myself," he said, and his face was so proud I took a picture. That weekend, he started cleaning up his toys without being asked. He tried to vacuum, but he couldn't figure out how to turn it on, so he just pushed it around, making vrooming sounds. I found him practicing tying his shoes over and over, even though his fingers don't work right for it. "I'm being a big boy," he said when I asked what he was doing. His teacher mentioned Ben had been asking her if he was being good enough. "Good enough for what?" she'd asked. "Just good enough," he'd said. Then one morning when he wet the bed for the first time in weeks, he tried to wash the sheets himself in the bathtub with hand soap instead of telling me. I found him crying in there with soaking sheets everywhere. "I didn't mean to," he kept saying. "I'm sorry. Please don't be mad." Saturday morning, while Ben was at occupational therapy, I went to grab his homework folder from his room, and a paper fell out. When I saw what it was, my heart sunk. Ben had drawn a behavior chart with 2 columns labeled good and bad in his shaky handwriting. Under good, he had tally marks for things like helped uncle and stayed quiet and no crying. Under bad were marks for asked about mommy and wet the bed and needed help with shoes. But what really ripped my heart out was what he had written at the bottom in big crooked letters. Be good equals stay with uncle, and underneath that, bad equals uncle leaves too. I sat on his bed holding this crumpled paper, and everything clicked into place. He knew his parents weren't coming back. He had figured out he had been abandoned, and every single thing he'd been doing recently was him desperately trying to prove he was worth keeping. He'd been watching me get frustrated, overwhelmed, and tired, and decided he had to be perfect so I wouldn't leave him too. I drove straight to the therapy center, walked into his session, and pulled him into the tightest hug. "I promise I'm not going anywhere," I whispered.